What's better to do on a snowy Pennsylvania day than take a drive to the Goodwill? I'm looking for just the right piece under $40 for our Thrift Flip Challenge with the Flippin' Bunch. I think I found it. This is only $29.99. I packed it up along with some other goodies, and off I go. This challenge is really cool because you get to decide who the winner is by texting in your vote, and we'll give you more info on that later. With the 2025 release of Iron Orchid Designs spring line, I've been inspired. These cameos are from Shannon at Pickin' Boots. She totally had me in this cameo mode, so I decided to attempt to make a giant cameo with my cheval mirror. So I'm just taking it apart by unscrewing those little things on the side and getting busy cleaning it first. Whoever put this together never removed any of the stickers for all the different parts. Obviously, it's not an old piece because the back's MDF, and also it was had these instructions for assembly with all these lettered parts, again, which they didn't remove. I'm working from home, so I have a drop cloth on my living room floor. My dog's in the background, and I'm just using some Dawn uh, power wash and rinsing it. And some of those little buttons are missing, but that gives me an opportunity to tighten it up. With Grizz in the reflection there, I am doing some experimental stuff. Again, I'm working from home and I don't have all my goodies here, so I'm just taking some watered down Elmer's glue and I'm going to attempt to put a paint inlay down in the glass. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, this is experimental. It's definitely off-label usage. I also think that I may have used this paper once before, so it's not a fresh paper. I know I used it before, so we're just going to see what we get. This is just an experiment because I figure if it doesn't really work, I can just scrape it off the glass. So no harm, no foul, and let's see what happens.
One velvet submarine shoots across the scene as I leave. One piece of sea, the dream lingers here inside of me.
This stamp is new in the spring release from IOD, and it's called Velveteen, and there's some damask images in there. And I did some stamping, and on the TV you'll find Lel from Made by Marley. So I'm watching videos always as I as I work. So I did, you can see, get a little bit from the paint inlay, and I'll show you the stamping a little bit more later. But right now I'm working on the bottom of the mirror. I figure I'm going to have to keep the in-between part or the middle part. Since it's a full-length mirror, people are mainly looking at their clothing, you know, how their outfit looks when they're looking in a cheval mirror. So I'm just focusing on the bottom part mainly. So again, I'm trying to put some of these paint inlays in, and I've cut some that are now just fresh images. I've never used them before, so that this is a first time use for them, and I'm hoping to get a little bit stronger of a transfer of the image. So meanwhile, I'm letting that dry, and I'm using the Persephone mold. She's going to be my cameo. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm also going to use the Felicity mold. So I'm just trying to figure out exactly where all this stuff is going to lay. So this one's coming off pretty good. I keep checking them. And I get to a point where it's not, so I lay it back down again. Just seeing what happens here. And if nothing happens, then nothing happens. there we go. Beautiful. I'm fully aware that the glue is going to leave some residue on the glass, and I'm kind of making that part of my design. In Shannon's video, she talked a lot about the color of vintage cameos and that orangey color. So immediately I thought of this cottage door color. Also in those paint inlays, this color really seems to match that pattern. So I'm just, and that was in the lattice rose paint inlay from last year. But I'm just stippling on some of this cottage door, and this is all about layering. I also want some of that paint on the glass, but I want it to be kind of cloudy and kind of marbly like the background of a cameo. So I'm using a baby wipe just to kind of soften that line. Yet I still want it there. I've poured my Persephone mold and just have her laying there for the time being, just for placement purposes. And then I start to work on the top portion a little bit. And I don't want to come down too far so as not to impede the reflection as to what someone's seeing in the mirror. I probably come down a little farther than I should, but you know, this is almost like contact lenses for me. It's like, do I wear them to see well or to be seen? So the cheval mirror, is it to see in or to be seen? Good question. After I looked some more at those cameos, I realized that some of that orangey color is a little bit softer. So I also layer in the apricot color. So I'm just working on doing that, just layering and stippling. Again, this is all about the layers. And I'm softening up what I put on the mirror part to give it that kind of cloudy effect, and it works really well over the glue residue. So I kind of like that. It gives it something to grab onto. So I continue to work my way around the sides and just kind of dabbing at it just to bring back some of that sort of wet distressing here with a baby wipe to give it some of that cottage door color to come through. I paint the Persephone mold with the cashmere color that I have been working on forever. I think I may have actually almost finished it with this project, but I just lay it down just to see what she's going to look like. And at the top of my mirror, I do some more stamping. I only put one stamp image up here, and I'm using the IOD ink in black and very carefully just putting this over. This is permanent ink, so it will stay on this mirror. I should qualify that. You know, you can pull it off, but I am going to seal it. And I also am going to stipulate that the buyer of this piece only, you know, cleans lightly with a damp cloth. They can clean the part of the mirror that's just the mirror with Windex, but the rest of it they're just going to have to dab at to clean. So here's what that's looking like. And of course, I'll be embellishing that a little bit further. I'm starting to pour all of the Felicity roses. And they are such beautiful roses. They're really good and thick. I did use a whole 16-ounce size of the amazing casting resin. I had part of another one too that I finished. So I really used a lot of product with this.
Pretty face, you don't have to hold me. Just admit that you owe me. You owe me. Pretty face, I can tell from the look in your eyes that you got a hungry appetite.
I also poured some of the Cameo molds from the previous release because I thought they would be great to cover up those missing buttons on the side of the base of the mirror. Now, back to that base, it is really wobbly, so I'm going to reinforce it. I loosened those screws, and then I'm just putting some Titebond Thick and Quick down in that crack, and I'm wiggling a little bit to work the glue down in, and then I got a clamp that I'm going to use until it dries, and that will tighten this up for sure. It was just a little wobbly, as you can see, and we're just going to tighten everything up, tighten those screws back up, wipe off the excess, clamp it, and let it dry.
You don't have to hold me. Just admit that you owe me. You owe me. Pretty face, I can tell from the look in your eyes that you got a
I start to layer those Felicity roses in, and I keep making more as necessary, but they're just so gorgeous. And my adhesive of choice is E6000 to apply it to this mirror. I was happy to say that the tube is now plastic, and that made me happy. I'm very thinly pouring in the Trimmings 3 mold. And as you can see, I selected some designs for the side. But it takes a long, long time to get all these molds poured. So I start all along those edges with the Trimmings 3. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, I've been working on that cashmere color for quite a while, but it got a little hard. It must have had the lid off and it got a little dried out. I did reconstitute it with water. This is a little drippy right now, but if you stir it well and then let it sit open a little bit, it thickens back up. And then it was just the right consistency. So I kept kind of going over it until I got the mirror, the base how I wanted it. I really struggled with what color I was going to do this. Was I going to do it all in that orangey color, the cottage door and the apricot? Or I also toyed with the idea of doing black. And then I thought, and I even thought about gold metallic, but then I thought this would be very neutral because I am trying to sell my pieces. So I want to make sure that even though they're artistic, they're still kind of neutral and sellable. After I put all of those molds the whole way around the frame of this piece, I painted it with the cottage door color, and then after that dried, I'm layering in some more of the apricot color. And I love how the colors are just kind of peeking through and just kind of trying to simulate that look that's on the back of the cameos, that striated look that Shannon pointed out in her study of vintage cameos. I put a few of the Felicity roses up at the top, And I'm just kind of, after I do the frame, I come in and see on my mirror where I might want to add a little bit more color again. Then I come back in with the cashmere and touch up all of those roses. I want to keep that really pristine with that cashmere color, because if you look at the Cameo, those images are that ivory color with no striations. Next, I use Van Dyke glaze. Not only do I want to glaze the entire base of the piece, which took a little while because I went around all the molds and all of the edges and all of the little places that would attract the glaze, and I'm just using a baby wipe to wipe it back. That has become my favorite method of wiping back glaze. I really like doing that, and just kind of keeping that cashmere color and just giving it some age with the glaze. I also use the glaze, and I really struggled with this. Should I do this or shouldn't I? And in retrospect, I'm very, very happy that I did do this. It just helped to make the Cameo look more vintage. Pardon my frog. A little makeup on Our Lady. Oh, she's so beautiful, and what the glaze did for those roses was incredible. I also wanted to bring some of the glaze onto the mirror because I thought that would help with the old Cameo kind of marbly look in the background, as well as on the frame. Lastly, I pull out bronze gilding wax, and I use it for those little pieces that screw in on the side to hold it in, and also on my moldings on the side. And then I use it the whole way around the edge with the frame of the mirror, the Trimmings 3 molds that I did there. I also put a fancier mold from the acanthus mold. It's time for the question. Do you remember what this mirror looked like before? Tell me what you think about how it looks now. I kind of love it. Because I'm one of the flippin' bunch, I'm not putting my entry up for votes, but you can vote for your choice of the winner. Text your vote to 814-515-4905. That's 814-515-4905. Text the name of your favorite in this challenge. Don't forget to watch Tuesday Talk, Tuesday at 8 p.m. EST, and then also the Flippin' Bunch every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Thanks so much for watching today. Please give this video a like, a share, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps my channel to grow. Hit the notifications bell so you don't miss a thing. Find Statement Designs on the web at www.statementdesigns.org and on social media as Statement Designs. Stay well.